So, Tiki, you were a running back.
I was.
For a long time, by NFL standards, for 10 whole years.
10 years, considering that the average length of a running back's career is 3 years.
It's not
I consider myself fortunate.
You set all sorts of records in the middle of that. And I'm wondering now, how is the body afterwards? Because this is kind of a transitioning to life after being a sports person.
Well, I retired early by some people's standards. I left at the top of my game. I had 1,600-yard season, and then I retired. My body feels good. I just ran a marathon 2 days ago. So I'm in good shape to still do things athletic in nature.
Running the marathon is actually really bad for your body. I don't know if you've read the science on that.
I felt good, though. I set a PR, personal PR.
Yeah.
Not very good, but it was personally
Okay, so you survived. You survived
I did survive.
An NFL career. There's nothing kind of serious, so you don't feel like...
No, I mean, I think I was lucky, and it was ahead of the concussion issues that we're hearing about nationally in the National Football League. It never entered my mind. I think I maybe had one or two over the course of my 10-year career, but it wasn't something that was topical until I retired. The year after I retired, the NFL got brought before Congress in the United States, and those congressional hearings started to make a significant change in how head trauma is treated in our game, in our sport.
And we'll talk a little bit about what Thusio is in a moment, because it's kind of important, I think, for people to get a handle on that. Jamie, so obviously Tiki's finished. You're not finished.
Yeah.
Why are you
what
laughing?
That says about me. I don't know. I'm just wondering in what condition will I be able to run a marathon, or will I want to run a marathon more like in a couple of years when I finish up?
Yeah, because we've seen massive attrition rates. We've talked before about your Wolverine blood. It turns out you're human when somebody kicks you in the back. Does this enter your thoughts at any point about, is this kind of one of the reasons why you're involved in a load of different projects now while you're still playing?
I'm sure Tiki would agree. You don't really think about injuries when you're playing. Mm-hmm. You just want to play. You just want to get out there and perform. You want to get out there and win games, and that's the last thing that comes into your mind. But so you prep every week, the same every week, so you don't have to worry about it. But how I got interested in kind of life off the field was just, I was always kind of a guy that approached the sport pretty holistically in how I prepared.
Yeah.
Kind of both tangible, lifting stuff in the gym and knowing your place, the intangible stuff and how you recover and rest and your mind and getting your mind ready for games. And that kind of, I just saw similarities, seeing my friends work in other companies and the opportunities I've had to go in and see some of these companies and similarities that you can transfer across into business, and especially in the tech world where people are disrupting stuff. You're just seeing people following it's really people who are kind of scratching an itch, you know what I mean, and following their passion.
Yeah.
And I mean that seems what Tiki's doing, that you're just following your passion, and it doesn't become a job then, and that's where you get your resilience just to see things through and to kind of do everything you can.
Tiki, you obviously had a broadcast career as well as other stuff going on. So in that final season when you're 1,600 yards, are you thinking, okay, well actually this is great and everything, but I need to look what's happening next, and how did that lead you to?
Well, it's interesting. My media career happened, I played for 10 years as you mentioned, but my media career started 3 years in, dissimilar to Jamie, because I wasn't good. I was looking for something else to do with my life, and I happened to get really good as my media career started taking off. So I walked these parallel paths while I was playing obviously for the Giants for 10 years, but also building this little bit of a media career, doing some radio, doing some TV. And then at the end, when I knew my body couldn't do it anymore, or more importantly, I didn't want to prepare in the off season to get my body to do it anymore, I jumped right into a media career, working for NBC on the Today Show and Football Night in America, their sports show. But after a couple of years, that fizzled.
Starting really low there. On
it was
the biggest TV show in America.
It was a big jump. But it fizzled after a few years. And I was fortunate to have some really good friends who picked me up and pushed me in the right direction and made a connection with a friend, Mark Gerson, who became the co-founder of my company, Thusio. I went to school with his brother. So relationships have played such an important part in my life, throughout my entire life, but particularly my entrepreneurial one.
I have to say, I think a lot of nonsense is talked about how a career in sport at any level automatically prepares you for life afterwards. That you actually, there are a few key things. Dealing with setback, I think.
Yeah.
Professional sports people get beaten all the time. It's just
By you.
Well, not really. We're gentle. But you do actually suffer setbacks on a very regular basis. It could be in training, somebody beats you 1-on-1 and you've got to go and fix it. But actually, your win percentage over your career is actually quite small compared to,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And that's a good thing.
On a weekly basis, you're dealing with success or failure.
Yeah.
And then
You
having
gotta
to
learn
go
to
out,
deal with both.
Yeah, and like reset and go again the following week. But more so, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. There's a whole lot of people in this room who are way smarter than me. You know what I mean? But what I look for, I see similarities in successful businesses and successful kind of high-performing teams. But whenever, let's say I'm looking at a company, I want to invest in a startup company or a business, I look at the people. I mean, we deal in people in Leinster, in Ireland, in my team. I'm sure you did with the Giants.
Yep.
You have different characters, how that dynamic works, how that culture works.
Yeah.
Because that kind of intangible thing that you see when you're on the field and you're running into other players, you get to know the character of you and your teammates and how they will work for you and why you'll work for them.
Yeah.
And that kind of intangible stuff is what we're experienced in and what we can see in others when we are like not just talking about their idea, but like what their mindset is and how they're going to kind of bring that to fruition.
Yeah, I might talk to you about the specifics of stuff you're involved in a moment, but tell us about Thusio, because it does kind of fit into the life of an athlete or the life of somebody who's been on a high-profile TV show.
No, you're right. And unlike, I had pads on, so I was safe when I got hit with other people. Thusio started essentially because we saw athletes starting to build brands that we can identify with outside of their sports. But for an athlete, unlike a musician, you can't monetize it forever.
Yeah.
Because the Giants or the Irish rugby team, whoever, they're not willing to pay for it forever. But you'll play for a song forever. And so what we ultimately pivoted into was a marketplace that allowed corporate America to associate with those brands. And the key difference is that we provided transparency and understanding what athletes and other types of influencers were really good at, where they're from, what they enjoy doing, what causes they're associated with, where they're geographically relevant. I'll give you, for example, I live in New Jersey, but I'm geographically relevant in Virginia because that's where I went to school and college, and one of the favored sons, you could say, of Virginia. But also I played for the Giants in New York. So my relevant market is in two different places. And we realized that that's the case with almost any type of influencer around the world. And so a marketer who's looking to do a brand campaign or to do some sort of engagement or appearance in a local level can find exactly who they're looking for that's relevant to that exact market through our service with transparency on pricing and other types of things as
Okay,
well.
and so do you then engage the relevant person as well? Do you act as an intermediary between the two?
A little bit of an intermediary. We're not an agent. A lot of
Okay.
people want to position us as an agent. We are actually an extension of what an agent does and more the marketplace where these type of transactions can take place, where they're allowed to take place, and you have clarity. One of the things that you never want to fall into as a marketer is walk down this road with this talent for so long and then get to the end and realize he's not the right guy.
Yeah.
And then now you have to go all the way back to the beginning and start over. We do all that at the very beginning for our clients who are looking for a talent to engage with in some sort of capacity.
So your clients are definitely corporate America, but could your clients also include the agents who, look after the day-to-day life of the individual player and who are trying to broker contacts and contracts with big corporate America companies, but sometimes they're doing the wrong thing as well.
Of course.
And ultimately,
It works both ways because think about the dilemma of an agent. Sometimes you have a great talent, right, and you want to get him out there, but you just don't know where to go because you have to sit and wait for an inbound. Now, what if you know that there are, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say an RFP out there for some type of campaign, and you know it's there, you know that your client is perfect for it. Now you have the marketplace to get to that client as well. So it works kind of symbiotically in a unique way.
okay. Jamie, what businesses are you involved in? I mean, people will be familiar with the restaurants.
I got to say that the bridge, which is literally about 200 meters if anyone wants a pint, Don't be afraid to go in and tell them I sent you. They might give you a pint.
You're going to be inundated today.
I think I just heard 3 points for everybody. That's a good Jamie Heaslip.
Don't quote me on that, please. Yeah, no, I've a couple of different interests. Partly because I don't have the time to kind of focus in on one thing, obviously.
Yeah.
While I'm still playing, so I kind of weigh in probably once a month, once a week, depending on the company. But you know, I've got the pub, the Bridge. I've got a restaurant in town. I got involved in what you'd call a kind of a website called Loving Dublin, all about Dublin, what's happening on the food scene, on the night scene, kind of a lifestyle website, I suppose, if you want to call it. And then also, I got involved in the Lucy Fund, which puts me in front of all the startups in Dublin, basically. You know, and I'm on the cold front, and I get to see what's happening, what's bubbling up, what are the trends are, and kind of put my money where my mouth is in terms of investing in the angel scene. And one of the first ones that I invested was Kitman Labs, and I suppose that's kind of that's the golden boy right now for us. It's gone really well. We've moved over to America. We're signed into some of the NFL teams. We just signed up with the Dolphins, and we're in baseball, in the MLS as well as being in rugby and soccer here in Europe. So we're growing very well, you know.
What did Kitman do? What's the thing that kind of, like, did you get involved with that because it's something you like the sound of, or did you go, okay, I actually fully understand the
A bit of both. My background, I did medical engineering in college and finished that before I started playing, and that obviously I had an understanding of it, and GPS had come into rugby in around 2008 in Leinster, and I just saw that we were getting all this data, and they started using it in really smart ways. And Jason Cowman and Stephen Smith, who are our strength and conditioning and rehabilitation coaches, just kind of had the theory that they could reduce down the injury of a team.
Yeah.
The injury profile of a team by managing their load and you know, being on the pitch, off the pitch, their weights, everything, the kind of holistic approach. And they trialed it, and you know, it's been a massive success. And they've been in that kind of culture that I'm a big fan of, that kind of team dynamic culture. And like I said, I like the idea, but I more like the people that were doing it. And you know, I invested in them, and it's grown exponentially so far.
For you, how important was it that this is something that would have benefited your career, Tiki? If you'd had somebody come along and say, here, you know, this is where you're big, we can, you know.
Well, I think what we've started to hear at Thusio is the word authenticity a lot. How aligned are you with the campaign or the product that you're pitching? And I have the perfect example, one good and one bad. I just ran a marathon. So I tore my PCL as a rookie in 1997. So I played 10 years with a lot of laxity in my joint. So running a marathon is not really conducive to laxity in your joint. So I did a deal with KT Tape, which was a perfect endorsement for me running the marathon. They helped raise money for the foundation that I was raising money for, and it perfectly fit, right? It made logical sense. It was authentic. About 10 years ago, I did a campaign for a pharmaceutical company that was looking to raise awareness about iron overload. Right? The way that they did that, though, was with a sickle cell campaign, because kids who have sickle cell trait often have to get blood transfusions, right? I don't have sickle cell. No one in my family does. But because of the non-authentic relationship that existed, people to this day, 10 years later, think that I have sickle cell. And so it didn't match authentically. But now, because of the systems and the databases that we're building behind players and other types of talent, you know exactly who you're getting, and it matches exactly with the campaign that you're looking to put out.
So it sounds like it's working.
It is. We just had our Series B round of financing. We're growing, you know, pretty large. We've probably built about 31,000 profiles of talent across the world, and it will continue to grow. It's all a capacity constraint with our CTO and that team, which, like Jamie was talking about, are great people. I like to hire people smarter than me, because I know I don't know it all.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. The notion of having loads of other different projects, I mean, obviously that doesn't suit you now because you're the CEO, but in retrospect, is that something that maybe during your career you would have been interested in?
You know, you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. I'm reading Walter Isaacson's book about innovators, And they're talking about Intel and how those three guys were very different. Some guys are a people person. Another's an ass kicker, that needs to get things done.
Yeah.
I'm not a manager of people. I'm a great influencer of ideas and motivating people. But we have a great CEO in Jared Augustine, who's in this room, who is a good manager, great manager of people. We have a great sales team. Those type of things that I can't do well, you bring in the right person to do it well, and that's what makes a company grow organically. The one thing that I never wanted to do was have too much pride and ownership, saying this is my company, this is the way it's going to be, I'm going to do it this way. Because I know I played football for 10 years. I wasn't an entrepreneur until I was. And so now I'm still learning along the way and growing organically as opposed to artificially.
Yeah, I guess, Jamie, it's kind of a different approach from your perspective, but I see the advantage of having a load of stuff that's going on because, you go to bed and you're like, well, if I get an injury, it's okay because I have all this other experience going on. So it gives you a sense of freedom to, commit fully to what you're playing.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking about the 30 documentary broke out the back and the stats in the NFL off the back of that. But, I think while we are not even 20 years professional of a sport, I think the stats were something like the average career was 6 to 7 years now. It wouldn't be even on the fraction of the money from the NFL, but it does let lads, if you get caught in that little bubble and you don't think about, we call it the afterlife,
yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't think about that, you're going to come out the other end, and all these people you thought they're going to help you, they're going to quickly dry up and not answer your calls, and you're going to be sitting there, with no one else really to blame but yourself for not preparing. But it's good. I mean, the player associations that are stepping up to the mark. I mean, we've got IRUPA. I know the NFL's players rep are really strong, and they just look after. They prepare the players for it, and IRUPA are getting better and better every year on year for us. But I think, like rugby, like any sportsman, you got to take a bit of responsibility yourself.
Yeah.
You can't have someone else do it for you. I mean, that's just like anything when you're prepping for a game.
It's kind of a perfect situation though to work as hard and to leave on the peak, so that there's almost no fear about that being the end, the way that Tiki did it, and you're kind of free to do that a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing worse than doing nothing.
Yeah,
especially if you've been an athlete. To sit around and do nothing it's mind-numbing, and a lot of guys think that's what they're going to do.
How long did you have that for though? Because you had the TV career straight away. So it was
I had it for only about a year, where I was literally doing nothing, and I wanted to jump off the building, and so I finally got re-engaged in life again. But a lot of guys don't think about it. It's one of the travesties in sport. We teach athletes to be as great as you can be. Only focus on this. If you have other things, put it to the side because you got to be the best that you can be. But you're sacrificing opportunities, the relationships that you're going to build, the people who are going to be your real friends when you're not the cool guy anymore. Networking is so important to athletes, and when they have the opportunities to do it, they have to do it. I don't think enough athletes get told that.
100%.
100%.
Two quick final questions to you. Would you not be an agent? Because it sounded like you'd make a great one.
No, I was a geek. I was a database designer educationally, MIS at the University of Virginia, but I went and got my head beat in for 10 years and lost all that knowledge of databases and things of that nature. But as we've been talking about, you hire the right people who can do it. Could I be an agent? Yeah, but I like being on the marketing side, on the demand side, and helping talent, whether they be athletes or entertainers or musicians, find their next passion and whatever it may be.
I've got to ask you about Orange is the New Black as well. How did that come about?
Hey, you like that, huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Again, that was a relationship. A friend of mine said, hey, do you know the show Orange is the New Black? I said, of course I know Orange is the New Black. He said, do you want to do a cameo? I said, of course. What am I doing? I get to play football or something in the yard? She said, no, you're going to talk about French philosophy, which I did okay.
What's next for you?
By the sounds of maybe Fair City or something like that.
I thought we were going across the street for a pint.
Yeah, everyone in, we're going across for a pint. That's what we're doing. I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of constantly upgrade myself on and off the field.
Are you looking forward to the point where you just have one project that you can do and be fully immersed in?
That's the goal for me, yeah. When I finish up, there'll be things going on that I might weigh in on, once a month,
but you see yourself having
a quarter,
a day job.
But I see myself having a job.
Yeah,
a day job, I think, suit and tie, and
yeah.
I mean, whatever I do won't be my job because it'll be a passion. That's the one thing I've learned from sport.
How long do you guys play for? To what age, average?
I don't know, what Paulie finish up at, 35?
35.
35?
I'll be amazed if I get to 35.
So you got a couple more
There's
years.
a couple make it to 37. Brad Thorne made it to about 40,
Yeah.
but he was a freak.
I'm 10 years in now, and I'm still feeling good. So as long as you're feeling good, I think you're okay.
Yeah, you
All
got to
right.
retire so you can do a marathon when you're done.
Oh, God.
You've just been dared into doing a marathon. The
Yeah,
New York
exactly.
one's a good one to do. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiki Barber, Jamie Heaslip. Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Cheers, Chef.
Enjoy that. Tiki, good stuff.